let me start. My name is Sergey. I'm from Ukraine, for DNN team founder. We have a small team, me and two other guys. We work with DNN for a long time and really like this tool and would like to continue to work and would like to put some efforts into the DNN community, like feedback for this so great tool, like for this one, and it will be subject about one of these tools we have made for our clients and would like to share with community. It's a universal Autosave solution for DNN Platform. So let's start our agenda. We will take a quick overview on solution, what is it for, what was the reason and history of creation, key features of solution. Then we make quick demo configuration, in short, because Claudio asked to be brief, and I will provide to demo live examples how to integrate, how to join this solution with core modules or other vendors modules, so you can see. And already this module is not so old, it is young, but we already got a bunch of requests for new features for this one, and already some features are arriving already in beta stage. So let's begin with our subject. So I think history of creation is one of our clients have used HTML module from DNN Professional, and he did like a lot this new feature with Autosave because they have a lot of content, and this edition allowed to keep tracking what in case some problems with connections or some unexpected problems with browsers, etc. So client was really happy with this one, and he requested the similar feature for one of our custom modules we have made for him. And we made this additional for Autosave, and he was happy, but then arrived new request for another module, and then from other clients, and we decided that there is no sense to work with every module separately and to make this calling. It makes crazy because sometimes we don't have really source code to join to the module and to change something. So we decided to make something more generic, and that's why, and that's how universal solution has been born. So what is it? This is a DNN module. It installs and contains two components. One is admin area, where you can define where and what controls you would like to apply this feature. And the second component is HTTP module that joins to the page and controls already users area and allows to work with this control and with features and the history of change of the controls. So we prepared two small videos. There are two letters before it happens, but so maybe this way. No. Oh, okay. So yeah. So we prepared a small video for to describe problems that happened to his one client, virtual client John. He tried to contact for support for something like for request for new project, so it was real income, and he tried multiple times and had no luck because one time he got browser broken, another time he got strange response from the server, so he clicked, and then he was really angry, and support received crazy, yeah, you know, so it happens. He was really afraid of what's going on and try again, and with every time he tries this something to write, you know, it makes text smaller and smaller, and at the end of it, he really just ignored and made few words what is going on and something like that. So I just maybe skip this. At the end of it, we needed water, yeah, because he. So at the end of it, he got so from the third time. So next one, we just want to present. This is how universal autosave works. How it can be if this something happens, that browser broken or something like that. That this is how universal list works. It adds special control, special icon at the top right corner of the control, and when something goes wrong, client just click on the history of change, and it displays grouped by date full history of change when and what. I'm sure you see when and what he made, what request or something like that, and when he clicked it automatically restores it into the control. So it can be long history, and it's not a problem to restore this one from the history, just few clicks, and to display, to describe how this looks and how this works. I would like to show you a few steps. It really will not take a lot of time. I know that there is a rush, but I will try to display how is it easy and how is it fast to install it and to connect to any control, any form, any third-party module, no problem what is going on. And so here is it. We have I will disable current contact us autosave form, maybe so. So it's so until it is loading, maybe out of session. Better I will.
Okay.
Yeah. This one. So I will disable because there are some already pre-created items. So there is admin area where everything goes for administrator. It is single module. You don't need to jump over the side to find something. So to create new configuration, you go and click create new configuration. It's pretty simple, and you type contact this name of, and then can provide some description. Then we have features. I'm sure. Can you see this? This one. There are some settings that it's really simple. You can enable or disable configuration. You can display or hide this icon we have seen at the top right corner of the control. Sometimes it needs to keep history, but it doesn't need to inform user that he has this feature. It happens sometimes because sometimes clients want to track all changes that his employer, for example, works and what is going on. I know it's maybe looks strange, but it was one of requests, so we keep it. So icon can be displayed or hidden. Then we define method when we want to track this change of the control. Is it on? It's possible to track when control lost focus. So it's very common situations that someone go into the text box or checkbox or select list, select something and goes away or on change. Then it happens. So in this way, or for example, we can define autosave period. Then, for example, we can define so every 30 seconds it will be automatically saved to the destination. Then we can define how long this history should be tracked. For example, you don't want to keep long history for 1,000 items. You want to track only 100 items. Then you can define to keep only 100 items to keep in the storage. And then you can define history expiration. So you can say, for example, in 10 days it will not be interesting if something happened or lost. Then in 10 days just ignore it, and after the 10 days all history will be cleared and deleted, so it will not take space. And at the end of it, it's important that we can define what side data locates, this autosave history locates. Is it locates at the server side, or is it locates at the client side at cookie? So there are advantages and disadvantages for both methods, so you know, when you track it at the server, it takes longer, but it allows to share this information between different computers, and it depends on the user, right? So whenever he goes from one laptop to another laptop, history of change always goes with him, and no problem.
If he logs in, or it's
yeah, if he logs in, yeah. For it supports realization for anonymous users, so no problem if your user is not logged in. It tracks history, and you allow in permissions to track history for anonymous user. It creates unique ID in cookie and tracks history with this unique ID. So it's not a problem. Cookie has own client side has own benefits, but it doesn't allow to track to manage values at the admin area, for example, and to do any more other things. And if cookie goes on, clears or something like that, then history of change will be deleted. So we prefer and recommend to clients to keep changes at the server. It's more safe and more accurate.
Does it automatically use the server if cookies are disabled in the browser?
There is a method that it's optimized. So before, when server is selected, and before sending to the server, it makes a copy at the cookie, and when it's sent to the server data and send server responses with success method. So data stored.
If the cookies are disabled in the browser. Some people disable cookies
because
they have radio.
No.
Okay.
It's thanks, Michael. It's a good feature. I think it needs to add. If cookie disabled, yeah, it's really should be automatically goes to the server. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Michael. So that's it. And there are last one option is URL independent. So history of change tracks by user control and by URL params. So by params in the, for example, in the URL like product ID or category ID. So, for example, you want to the same page, to the same control. It can be the same control, the same page, but with different values. Not values, but with different means, suppose, yeah, because for product 1 it will be a single history ID, for product 2 it will be absolutely different history ID. But sometimes it needs to track change URL independent, so it will be should show the full history for this control at this page all the time. Then there is an option URL independent. So it's, or for example, when someone passes to the contact us form something subject or something like that in the params, and it's different all the time, then history will be independent for different params. So it allows to track change URL independent. Then it's easy to select what page. For example, we select for what page we use it for. We would like to use it at contact us page, and then we define permissions where we would like what users should be allowed to have this feature, and can be defined for any roles. And it's standard grid, so I don't describe. So it can be defined roles or user, whatever is better. And then the most interesting, so we have to update before going to define controls, is the most interesting place to define a list of controls that will be allowed this feature. There is a controls wizard we've made, so there is a button just easy to click, and it goes immediately to the page where you select it. You select it, and there is small info window. You can ignore it, and you see that every control has been added this configuration icon. So to add control, it's just easy to click on this icon, nothing more. You just click, it configures. It's for administrator, and I will tell you separately that we have also a session closing event. I will describe it later. So we selected these 4 controls to track history of change. We have just click, it changed color, but it's bad to see it doesn't appear here. And so we selected these controls. Maybe I will ignore, for example, email and name, so you will see how it works. And here is stop wizard button. So it goes away from the configuration mode, and here is already working mode. So if user, here is, I will open another the same page for already pre-configured, but this is not logged in user, anonymous user, and he tries to type something like in body some test number 1. Oh, sorry. Test number 1, and or for example, when it loses control or tries test number 2 or something like that, and then clicks history. This history appears here, and he easily can restore this history, no problem. This is one way, but another way, if something happens and browser closes, then user returns to the same page. We make refresh, and it automatically restores this value for last value he had at this position for this control automatically. But we can define at the configuration, we can define for controls. We can define, would you like to restore it automatically or just keep this icon? Here is, we have controls. We can define restore and load. Yeah, we want. We can ignore or remove this restore and load for body, and when user restores, nothing. There is nothing. It's but he can click on icon and can restore from this history of changes. And another feature, we can define restore only if empty, because control can be pre-populated from the server side. So if it's pre-populated, then we don't restore a history because server may know something. And there is another option is for cannot or cannot replace or cannot values. So sometimes you don't need to display this history. It appears, for example, when you have ticket systems or it's a forum or something like that, and you have some predefined replace. So you want it's another side of using of this module. So you just want to display this to insert these tokens. Don't go to the text file where you have this predefined replace or something like that. Then you can go to the there is an option for administrator manage saved values. You can select for this body, for example, there is no values for this one. You can select this, I think this one, because for an anonymous user it displays this unique ID. Oh, maybe for this control. On. Okay. Yeah, so here is, and we can define, we have all values, and we can define which of this predefined value, which of these values are predefined. Then it's, when user clicks cannot value. So when user clicks at this, I think it's different configuration. When user clicks this message body information, then he will not see full history of change. He will see only cannot values that define for this control. And to close the session, I want to describe that we have added the close session events. What is it for? It is to define when this information has no sense because a form has been submitted, right? When user populated this form, subject, body, or something like that, or product description, product title, etc., whatever, for end story or for forms at least, whatever what you want to use it for, then you click, for example, update, delete, or cancel. Then we agree that this values doesn't have sense to restore automatically. Yeah. Then so this is why we added links and submit buttons to the event source for close the session. We can define, for example, this send feedback control. I just clicked and it changed color, but that example because it. So when a user submits this feedback, its automatically session will be closed, but history kept in the memory, but it will not be restored on the next page load. So this is the main purpose of usage of this module, and I'd like to show. Let me This is list of features. I just went to the live example so to display better. So I just want to display that this module is universal. It has no sense where you want to use it. Core modules, feedback is core module, or for example for NB store, thanks David for this one, for example. So I can show it works perfectly for example, one of our clients uses NB store a lot, and sometimes users, employees type a lot of text, for example, for product description or for product name, etc. And some products are this similar, and he needs to copy and paste or change something, and he found this feature very useful because when you select, I've not turned it on. 1 second. I have to. So when he selects product, it automatically. No, it is here.
Other user.
Now should work. Sorry, maybe disabled. No, everything is here.
Permissions?
Sorry?
Permissions perhaps?
No. Permissions, yeah. Sorry. Maybe for all users should work. Let me open forms at least. So it can be attached to the any control. Oh, it's maybe something. 1 second, I will.
Maybe no history or something.
No. It should work from anyway. URL independent for forms and lists for all users, and then we can define controls. We go there, select this, and these controls should be fired an event to hide and to close the session and stop wizard. And when we go to the edit, there is a button, so you can see it was just something went wrong with this one. So it works with forms and lists, and in the same way it works with NB store and any controls. It can be any text box, select, any input control, any text area, HTML control. So it's like universal solution for your clients, and we like to share this one, and we edit it, we posted it to the GitHub and the .NETNuke Forge, so anybody can download it there. And as soon as we request, we got a bunch of requests for new features. So we already have in beta version support for HTML editors for FCK, periodic, and RAD controls. So it will not track changes for only standard HTML controls, but also for HTML editors. In the same way, it will be like an analog of the feature exists in the pro version of HTML module in the professional version of .NETNuke. And another new feature is auto suggestions. So it will be an option for control. So will open drop-down lists with based on the started input of the user. There is an option for dashboard for users, so not only administrator but also users can track changes, history of changes if it's necessary for him. Small option to prevent history duplicates. Some advanced reports it requested, but one client who wants to know forms, users who tried to fill form but doesn't finish it. For example, a client arrives to the shop, selected everything product, went to the shopping cart and already arrived there but doesn't finish this sale. So client would, because you will never know this sale because it will be in shopping cart, so you need separate report or something like that. But in this way you have a report, for example, that this page user tried to do something but went away, not finished anything. So it would be interesting for marketing to understand what is going on, why he went away from this one. And another option, feature that arriving is sharing data between controls and users. That sometimes the same users have the same information or similar information tried to input or required to input. It's in the same way easy to will be easy to share between controls or between the users like this. So, any questions? Yeah.
What's about, for example, you use a lot Smuggler, you live since 2 months and you have 100 or 300 historic elements. Have you a short list? I keep only the first 100 elements, or scheduler turn and erase all data?
Yeah, there is a schedule that not the schedule, but there is internal method when on project on HTTP module, not HTTP, admin module runs. It trims based on the settings I defined here at the settings of the module, so you can define what limit, what history limits you would like to have, that or maybe number of items, or maybe deep in days, for example. So you want to track it, to keep change live for history for 10 days or hickories. If when 0 it tracks change for unlimited period, and when 0 for history land also can track this change for unlimited period. Yeah.
Does it influence the performance of the page load?
No, it's this small HTTP module. We optimize it fully. It embeds. It's fully organized by JavaScript. So when page loads, this HTTP module just checks if this page is selected, is any configuration for this permission presents for current load. If it doesn't present, it does nothing, and page goes like it is. Nothing huge. If there is configuration for this page, for this permissions, for this user, then it adds just calling small line to call JavaScript. We use this one, and this JavaScript loads, and this JavaScript adds this controls, this one, to the end of control. This one controls, and that's it. So,
Sergey,
yeah.
How does the page know that this is in the configuration? Is there a skin option?
HTTP module. HTTP module. When HTTP module loads, yeah. I check tab ID param, and based on this tab ID param, it defines, because configuration is dependent on the page. Page to use on.
In the page set, no. Where is it? I mean,
at configuration you define as the page to use on. You
yeah, sure, I understood this. But what happens to the page if you say it is there? There must be some control on the page. That
No, nothing, no
HTTP
control. You don't need this HTTP modules calls during the page load.
Okay, sorry, thanks.
And, no problem. And it adds this development. Yeah.
You have for one configuration, you can make several pages or only one page.
Sorry.
For the one configuration, you can use several pages.
Yeah. Because for different permissions, sometimes for different permissions for different users, clients want different settings of autosave.
For example, you can take all the pages here.
Yeah. This is admin area, so all pages. Except admin and host. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the question was, can you select single emails?
Single pages or
No, per single page. Yeah.
only single page. So,
Yeah.
yes, right.
Because you have to select control.
By pages.
Yeah, by page and by control.
And other option.
Yeah, because you can't select two page because controls are only page dependent. You see.
So if you want to activate it, your system, the autosave system for, well, let's say all the HTML modules
Yeah.
of your website.
Ah, I see.
Let's say it's about 100 pages.
It's good question. Probably in the next version we would like to include a feature.
Kind of module.
Everywhere.
Yes, and you can register, or like you said, a widget, in fact, for the same time, to register.
This is a great question, and I think we can include it in the next version of module. If you like, please visit GitHub or DNN Forge. Please write this question and suggest this feature, and we would like to add it. Really, yeah. Any more questions? Oh, okay, thanks for